one of the things you've done recently over the last I'd like to say few albums now is you took on the role of producing the albums and then mixing them, obviously. And what prompted you to want to do that?
Corona.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, during the Corona time, yeah, we're sitting at home with nothing to do, only perhaps writing songs, making lyrics, but no live shows and no touring, nothing. So I say to myself, okay, I will exercise and learn a lot, learning by doing. And I bought some stuff and I developed this stuff, and now I have my own studio and I produced other bands. So it was, yeah, since 2020, I'm able to record and mix, mastering my own stuff, and that gives me a lot of new opportunities. That
Yeah.
I have much more time. If you book a studio, you are limited. You have a limited amount of money you can spend there. So for 3, 4 weeks, and it's over. Your money is gone, and all is fixed. Then, if you leave the studio, you have a fixed, yeah, amount of money you left there, and on the other side, your production is through. And now we can do that and that, and we can change things till the mastering, and that is awesome, and gives us a lot of opportunities to create music.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how have you dealt with things like the cost of touring going up? How is it more difficult to book shows? Are promoters a lot less likely to give money or to put money up for shows? Or maybe for somebody like you've been around so long, they already kind of know what they're going to get. And then, it's not that difficult for you. But, as far as the business end goes, talk about cost of transporting everything and then getting shows booked, et cetera, et cetera. Has any of that stuff been difficult for you? And if you have faced obstacles with that, what have you done to sort of adapt to what's going on now?
At first, I have the advantage that I have a crew which is more or less only working for Grave Digger.
Mm-hmm.
They have the daily jobs, and then they will be on tour with the band. So these costs are not increased so much. But perhaps for a nightliner, you have to pay so much money now. It's a double,
Yeah.
and other costs are like for T-shirts and all this stuff that increased a lot. So yeah, we are in a comfort zone with Gravedigger because we are booked by other promoters for festivals.
Yeah.
Because the band it's a live party band. Also, they know that we are celebrating really cool heavy metal on stage. So we are in a comfort zone. But for many more artists, which are a little bit smaller than Gravedigger, this is really hard to survive, to find possibilities to for live shows and everything. Nobody will give you money, or that is really hard. But we have booked the tour for January, and we have really good pre-sales, because also we have a good support band with Victory, and we have really good pre-sales so far. So yeah, we are looking really optimistic to the future,
Yeah.
but it's not normal.
Yeah. Getting a good pre-sale is always good because that always seems to be one of the most difficult things because people aren't sure how they're going to spend their money and they kind of wait till the last minute. And you don't know. Let's say you book a place that, let's say it holds 800 people. You might have 200 tickets sold, and then all of a sudden you get this walk up. You got to take that. I mean, people have to take that risk, right? And when you have good pre-sales, it's always you usually say, okay, probably going to sell this show out or at least mostly fill the room. And
Yeah.
has that always been something that has that something you've ever been worried about, or you just pretty much know, look, people know who we are, they come see us. You're not as worried about it as say a newer band that may not have been around for may have only been around for 5 years.
I think pre-sales are really important nowadays. You know that the promoters also can figure out how many people will come. Yeah, calculating the costs and their income. But there are also many bands which aren't going on tour. Also, bigger bands with bigger productions. They have less pre-sales, so they cancel at least the tours and everything.
Yeah.
So it's something like a risk to book a tour, you know, a tour on your own costs. For example, we booked more or less with an agent in the US a tour for next year, but this guy booked a lot of shows, but he didn't came up with some fees, you know. So at the end, it looks that the fees so low that we can't get the costs in at the end, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The bad thing is we are confirmed for festivals like Hell Heroes and 2 Minutes to Tulsa, and in between there are a lot of shows. And then they said to me, "Okay, you can go with a camper, and you have to book hotels." And I said, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm 63 years old. How should I drive with a camper through the US, you know, and a daily distance of 600, 800 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who should pay that? And also with for the visa costs, you know, you have now, if you are going for a working visa in the US, you have to pay $2,000.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that are costs which kill you in the end. And if you have 100, 150 people each show, that is what was the expectation I have. You know, if I go not with Blind Guardian on my own, like a band with a band like Satan, that was a co-headliner thing with Satan. In a good way, perhaps we get 300 people, but you know, the US market is so hard also to play on that. My expectation was between 100 and 150 people, and with that you can't finance this kind of touring with flights, with working visas,
Hmm.
with backline rental, and all this stuff. So no chance. We have to cancel that.
Yeah. The US is difficult because majority of the population lives on the eastern half of the country, and you know, you have places like New York, Chicago, you know, you have these big cities, but then when you have to go out west to get to California, you usually got to find one or two shows you're going to play on the way out, and usually those shows are probably have the least amount of attendance because they're usually in a place like you're not expecting, you just aren't expecting to play, but you're doing it as kind of to bridge the gap, as we say. So I know that's difficult, you know. And you mentioned something that I've talked about before. You mentioned that obviously in the US being a hard market, and it's weird because when I see Gravedigger, or I see, you know, when I think about Rage, for example, who came to Canada, they didn't come here, or Halloween, even for that matter. I mean, they don't, everyone, all of you guys do not have the audience here that you do everywhere else in the world. And, you know, what do you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think it was so tough for bands like yourself? You know, except it's Scorpions obviously made it here, but I think with the Scorpions, it took probably 4 records on a major label to really invest in them to even get people to know who they were, right? So why do you think it is that a lot of the bands that you came up with, just for whatever reason, don't break the market here, or at least play to the audiences they have everywhere else?
I think that is if you want to break the market, you have to invest a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
to build up step by step. Yeah, to increase from tour to tour the amount of people coming to the shows. And like Sabaton, for example, they invest a lot of money for the touring in the US because they
Yeah.
want to break the US market. You know, on tour with Judas Priest, on tour with that band, on tour with that band, you know. And at the end, when they play now, they have 2,000, 3,000 people, which is a good amount of people. But you have to put the money you earn here in the European market to invest it in the US market. And nowadays we are a band, we are too old,
Yeah.
you know. We say the train is running without us, you know. So to invest the money, I don't have the money to invest it in the US to build up a solid fan base there, you know.
Yeah.
So the only possibility we have is to jump on a track with a more like we did with Blind Guardian in 2015 and 16. So that is the only possibility we have, and to tour the market by our own is definitely not possible.
Yeah, I remember when you came. I'm wearing one of the shirts from that.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
That is from the first tour.
yeah, and it's funny because I remember when you guys played and opened for Blind Guardian here in Cleveland, and I remember looking, and I thought to myself, what kind of fan base does Gravedigger have here? And I remember walking into the venue, and I must have saw about 20 guys with kilts on, Gravedigger shirts, and I'm like, I thought that was cool because it's so hard for bands from Europe to really gauge their fan base here, to really figure out, you sometimes some cities you'll go to and you'll be shocked that, oh my God, I can't believe I have this many fans here. Or, it just, I was not expecting that, when I ended up getting there. I figured, you're going to be opening for Blind Guardian. People are going to get to know who you are here in the States because it's not like you come here all the time. And I was surprised at the amount of people that I saw people I saw one guy, he was in full-fledged kill. He had a Gravedigger Tunes of War shirt on. I saw him walking right in walking into the venue, and it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy, and it was pretty cool. It was a really good show, actually. But I had never, seeing you live in this here, I was actually like, man, I never thought this would ever happen, but it did. And I thought you guys sounded great on that tour, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that is the only thing we can do, to wait perhaps for another great band who's touring the US with us. It was really fun because it was so comfortable for us to tour with Blind Guardian. The first tour was amazing, and the second was, we had less people because we played same cities. And I remember a show I think it was in South Carolina, in Wilmington. There were 110 people or something there. There was it was a C or a D market, and
yeah,
it was crazy. But I think we are now too old to jump in this market, to build up a solid fan base. I think we have a solid fan base, but this base is not so huge that Gravedigger can play on their own there, So we are concentrating ourselves to South America because there's a huge fan base, and also in Europe. So Russia is gone because we also were really popular in Russia and the Ukraine. So, but for the reasons it's not possible to play there. But I'm happy with it,
Yeah.
I also happy to stay with my family and not be 200 days a year on tour like Udo Dirkschneider or something. And when I look to the amount of people Udo had on his last tour in the US, it wasn't so big, And everything must make sense, And for Gravedigger, it makes no sense in the moment to tour the US by their own.
Hey, everybody. Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching. And if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video. And if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.